This will wake everybody up. You guys are awake. You know, I'm just kind of getting my computer warmed up. 10 o'clock in the morning. All right, man. Whenever you want to hit or go.
So, hey, welcome everybody. This is Tech for Realtors. My name is Justin Lethby. I'm the E Professor of Real Estate. This week's session will be on video. It's going to be video part 2. Specifically, let's talk tools. So we're going to start talking things like YouTube, Meerkat, Periscope, and some other tools behind that to help make sure that you're giving yourself the best visual and audio chances you got out there. So my partner here on the right is Jason. Jason, you want to spend a second to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. And thanks for tuning in here. I'm Jason Bates, host of a podcast called Valley of the Sun Real Estate Show. And you can visit my website at valleyofthesunrealestate.com and connect with me on any social media platform from there and listen to my podcast too. So thanks for having me, Justin. Good to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. This is going to be fun. So just as a recap, last week, we talked a little bit about video in general. We talked really about everything, right? Just talking about video, trying to understand it from what kind of videos you can create to the kind of platforms we're in. This week, we're going to get really a little more down into details and stuff, where we're going to try to show you, okay, what do you do with YouTube, or what does Periscope mean for you? We don't have a lot of time in the world. We're trying to keep this down to an hour. But I really want to make sure we kind of break it down a lot more specific this time. And we'll kind of finish off. I'm going to rely on, hopefully, Jason, you're not aware of this, but I'm going to rely on you anyways. Yeah. Maybe some of the video and audio side of the world that you might have recommendations for. Because I think at the end, it would be a really good idea to break down some really good solutions that people can buy and maybe even start with from a cheap perspective, if not just a real effective perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things when I, do my videos and do some of the things that I do, I try to keep everything cheap because it can get out of control with what you try to keep up with what's happening in the video and audio world. I listen to a lot of different people and go buy this, go buy that, that. And it's always changing, just like anything else. Video and the tools that you can get always change. And if you try to keep up with the latest and greatest, you won't be able to keep up, and you're going to find yourself with a lot of tools that you're never going to use. So I keep it simple. I'm always about that acronym KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. So I like to keep everything simple and easy and cost effective, especially when it comes to real estate. Now, some things, though, I will say some things, and I think we will talk about it here. In some instances, you do want to spend some money. But if you're going to go spend some money, it might be better to hire a professional to do it, right? So that's a tool that we'll talk about, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. And again, that brings a good point. If we don't mention it, we make sure to say it a couple times. To me, realtors, we're going to do things cheap first because, we either have no money or no time. It's one of the two things that you have.
Right.
If you have no time, then you have the money, and you can spend somebody like Jorge, who was on our show last week, where we can get them to say, help us out. If not, then let's try to find efficient ways that you can get your life done quickly, and then grow to the other solutions, a lot more complex, a lot more dynamic, and a lot more leveraged, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So, well, I think the very first one to hit and talk about is the big kahuna in the room, and that's YouTube. Yeah. YouTube is where it's at. If you're going to be in video, I don't care really what kind of videos you're creating. I don't care if it's live like we're doing here, or if it's on demand type videos. I think YouTube is where you're going to put this stuff at, because YouTube kind of has it all, right? It has the ability to add your videos in there, has the ability to market your videos in there, has the ability to add marketing to your videos if you want to so do that and try to make some money off the side of these things.
Yep.
So you have it out there.
Yeah, YouTube is the, second most used search engine out there, right? If you want to fix a problem in your house, lay some tile or whatever, you YouTube it, right? So YouTube is absolutely out there. And here's one of the things I want to talk about when it comes to YouTube, because there are good videos and then there are bad videos. And when we talk about good and bad, one of the things that you want to think about when making videos is that you look at it from the other side of the lens. Picture yourself for a moment looking at the video on your computer or on your phone and what you're actually going to capture. And the reason I say this is because, if you're filming using, for example, say your phone, which a lot of realtors do. Try not to be herky jerky with the phone, right? And turn it sideways, turn it landscape, right? If you do straight up and down like a periscope, then you have this big black, unused area on your video. You can't even put advertising on it. You can't put any type of clickable anything on the YouTube video to kind of absorb that space a little bit. And then I get frustrated looking at just a narrow kind of video. I don't know if you feel the same way. It's kind of like buying that big screen TV, and then the film is only like a third of the actual big screen. I'm like, why did I buy this video if I can't even watch it in full, in the full screen of the TV? So be aware of how you're actually filming your video.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you'll hear that a lot about people, especially a lot of video files that are out there. Yep. They'll complain that, we just take the picture with our phone straight up and down because it's easiest where the button's at,
right,
instead of putting it more in a landscape mode and doing various things with it. Because again, most phones these days are 720p. I mean, they're the small end, but they are HD video. So take advantage of it. Leverage that screen space that you have out there to capture the best opportunity you have.
Yeah.
For creating any kind of video that you want to do. I mean, there are some situations where you can do portrait, but even you mentioned it, Periscope now lets you go portrait or landscape mode. They understand this just as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's funny to me. So
yeah,
and a lot of people capture it wrong.
Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of, because then you don't get the results that you want, right, through your YouTube videos or the exposure that you want. You don't get subscribers, whatever. And you're wondering, what the heck? I thought that was pretty good. You got to look at it from the other side of the camera. You can't, what we see looking around as we're putting this thing out in front and filming, we see the entire room, but they only see a small little portion, right? When it goes on camera. So, or on the channel or on the your YouTube channel. So just be aware of your surroundings and take it slow. Don't go too fast and all that kind of stuff. Just, I guess, a little common sense. But we all get nervous, right? We get nervous when we're filming. So I understand.
It's not as common sense until you actually watch the first time too. Because I thought, okay, the first time Periscope came out, I'm doing this. I'm having my hand straight out in front of me, and I'm walking my dog, and right. I'm trying to create this video. And I take it back home when I watch. I'm going, man, people are going to get seasick watching my video.
Right.
Because I mean, literally, I take long strides when I walk. So you got that big movement up and down.
Yeah.
So it was quite funny. I laughed. I kept it out there. It was like, whatever. People can hate it. They can turn it off. I don't care. But I thought it was funny. But I never did that one again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's where I think realtors make some mistakes. And also a very key component here, and we're talking tools, right? Get good lighting. If you're going to do some video, make sure the lighting is good. Not all houses are created equal. Not all lighting is created equal. Sometimes these old yellow bulbs just don't create the atmosphere that you want to capture. And if they do capture the atmosphere that you want to capture, then make sure your ISO and all the other kind of settings within your phone. A lot of the new phones now allow you to adjust the exposure and all that kind of stuff. Take the time to kind of do a test run, if you will, before you actually film it. Make sure that lighting is super, super, super important when it comes to video and capturing that moment.
Yeah. I would agree completely. I would say that lighting is huge. I mean, actually, that's one of the next purchases I'm looking at doing is getting into some lighting arenas that are out there where I can put the screen, the lighting facing me, so it brightens things up a little bit more. I would have to change locations because unfortunately the way that's facing back behind me, which helps for the lighting right now, is a mirror, right? So you got to know your surroundings and things like that, and it becomes very helpful.
Well, remember though, you're as a realtor, I think you're presenting yourself, number one, on video. That's going to be out there as long as you want it to be out there until you delete the video. Number two, you're representing a client with their home, and so you want to capture that home in its best light. So sometimes filming a home during sunset might be the way to capture. Maybe city lights, or views, or if you're in a high-rise condo, you want to capture this city lights or whatever. Just make sure that when you do these things that you're setting your camera correctly and getting some good lighting. I mean, the lighting I have here, it cost me, I think, $50 or something like that. It wasn't that expensive. So when we talk costs, it doesn't take a lot of money to do it. And when I first started, I took an old lamp and took the lampshade off of it and put one of those curlicue, lights on there, and used that, and it worked great. So it doesn't have to be anything. They don't see it. You don't see that on the film, right? So I don't really care what it looks like. I just care how it gives off the light.
No, and I agree. And especially for people who are taking like visual tours for homes and things like that. I won't even call them video tours, because I think that's just a misnomer anymore. People sit there, they think video tours anymore are those little PowerPoint slides that move back and forth.
Yeah.
But when you create those visual tours, I would agree. I would even say that you might want to come back 2 or 3 times throughout. If you're doing it yourself, come back 2 or 3 times throughout the day and take certain pictures in those homes, because they may show up better, or videos may show up better in those situations where, you do it and you have that out there. I mean, not everybody gets the luxury to do that, and I totally get that. But from an outside perspective, you should be able to create 2 or 3 videos, one in the morning, one in the middle of the day, and one in the late afternoon when that light sits just right, to capture a lot of that stuff without maybe even having to go get, lightings and things like that. I do agree. And to me, I think you've nailed it right in the head right off the bat. You always want to look at this from the end user's perspective, right? You're looking through the lens and go, okay, I want to capture this, but does it look right? Or does it even present what you're trying to present from a user's perspective? It will take a couple times to get that eye. And again, if you don't have that time, then you're going to want to hire that eye, because there are people that will know that instinctively for you.
Absolutely. And that's what I was saying. If you got $1 million property, you got to think too, your buyers aren't next door, so to speak. So your buyers might be out of the country. That might be, across state lines. And so you're going to want to present in a very professional way. I know some realtors here locally who, we're talking about tools and video, they actually hire actors to come in and, give a lifestyle setting, if you will, in a house. And sometimes that's worth it, especially if you're dealing in a high-end market. It's almost kind of not really expected, but it's becoming more and more popular. So eventually it will become expected. On the low-end properties, I get it. A $50,000 house, as I always say, you can't polish a turd. It is what it is. But at the same time, you want to present that in the best possible light and best possible angles, best possible everything, so that you can do justice for your seller.
Oh, yeah. Well, even the worst homes, they still have, you got to consider, I mean, you laugh right now. You look at the pictures that realtors do, right? Mm-hmm. You take a picture of a room that's a 9x9 room. And what do you see? You just see the corner with a little bit of flooring.
Right.
Because that's all the camera can take.
Right.
Where, again, if you could take a video and dynamically move it around or some other things, you have that ability to increase that opportunity, increase that value. So again, I would agree. You got to keep lighting in perspective. You got to keep some of that equipment in place, and then be prepared. I just see the Tech Buzz just mentioned out there, and this does come into play. A lot of this, a lot of phones. I know iPhones definitely have this. Is you can look for like screw-on lenses that will give you like that fisheye look, and other tools like that are out there. I mean, that's a very good idea that I forgot about.
Yeah,
that definitely helps in those arenas, especially if you're going to do it yourself, because you got to start thinking. You got to start thinking quality, especially even for video. I think it's even more important for video that goes on there now.
Absolutely. Now, there's a gentleman that he's out of Vancouver. He's a realtor. I think his name, I'm actually looking for him, so apologize for not looking directly at the camera here. But his name, Ramage, I think is his name. I don't know if you've ever seen his YouTube channel. He does a fantastic job, because he actually did a video of how he makes his videos. Which is really, really cool. And his videos are phenomenal. I mean, he gets a lot of hits for real estate on his videos. And I'm trying to get his channel up here so that I can put it in the chat here for us. But he has an instructional how-to step-by-step of what he does and the equipment he uses. Now, he has, a really high-end DSLR. He has a slide, and he has some tripods and that sort of thing. But for his investment, I think he spent, under $2,000, and he doesn't then hire somebody out. He does it himself. So, Lucas Ramage, that's his, check that out. Yeah, check him out. He is really, really good. And he gets a lot of downloads on his real estate videos. So he does a wonderful job. So now I was going to mention too, with that fisheye, that again, those fisheye and those lenses that kind of snap on to your phones, because realistically, I mean, the phones today really do a really, really good job in video. I have the Note 5. I think it shoots in 4K. I think the new iPhones also shoot in 4K now. Not every looking device or TV or anything is 4K. So I don't know if you need that necessarily. It might be a little bit of overkill, but technology is evolving, and the quality from your phone now is fantastic. Now, I will say this, and I've gotten some. Okay, there you go. I will say this: video is one part of the deal, but we also got to talk about audio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the audio is just as important, if not more important, when it comes to some of this stuff. So invest in a little lavalier microphone. I think you can pick them up. I think a Rode mic on Amazon, I think is like 69 or 79 bucks. And that plugs right into your phone. It has a pretty decent cord to it, so you can get really good audio quality with that. What I'm going to start doing, Justin, we talk about cheap, right? I'm going to buy that microphone. I don't have one currently, but I'm going to buy that microphone, and I'm going to use an old phone of mine as the recording device. Stick that in my pocket, and then I'll film on my tripod with my phone because it films, really good quality, and then I'll mirror the two together. I'll match the two together. I'll match the audio with the video.
Oh, cool.
So you can take old phones, for example, as a tool to use that as your recording device. You can, even though it's not active, it doesn't have to be an active, phone that actually works that you talk on. The phones will still hook up to the internet where you can download apps. And then there are recording apps out there that you can use as a recording device.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I like that. I mean, Steven from the Tech Buzz recommends the iRig, and you'll see that all over the place. They're advertised other place again, $50 roughly for that. They're Android as well as iPhone.
Oh,
the
great.
ones that I like is Audio Technica. I think that's a great solid solution. I think I spent $30 for my Audio Technica mic. It's a lavalier boom mic. It sits right here and you go straight up.
Yeah. Here's the thing, like for the most people, I don't think, I'm not a newscaster. I'm not, some professional actor or whatever, as you can tell, right? So the quality of the mic, I think that, the quality of the mics, everybody says, oh, the quality's got to be better here, going to be better there. For the average listener, I don't think they can really tell unless it's horribly bad or really bad, So because I've seen some YouTube videos where they've done, different tests on the mics and in different environments, wind and whatnot. And I got to be honest, on the YouTube channel, now maybe it's my speakers or my headphones aren't the best, although these are Bose, so they're pretty good. You can't tell the difference.
No.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, I don't know what the deal is with the price. Some prices are higher than others. Maybe they're a little more sensitive. I would say this, when I tested, like for instance, this mic here, I tested it with my voice because, certain voice types and different mics can match up a little bit better than others. So, if you have the opportunity to test it out, I would definitely test it out. Nice use of that mute button. I like that.
Gotta get strategies, man.
Yeah, right. So yeah, if you can't test out a lavalier mic, please test it out. Make sure it's good. I did that one because it was a battery operated one, and it came out real kind of scratchy, and so it didn't sound very good for me. It wasn't a very expensive mic. I think it was like $25 or something like that. I ended up not buying it. So don't always think that you got to buy it just because of the price.
No, that's why I like Amazon, right? Because I'll go buy I'll go buy a couple mics. If I don't like it, I'll send it back real quick.
Yeah.
The return policy, as long as you get it quick enough, they're not going to really question you a whole lot on it.
Right.
And so test it out, put it out there. And that's what I like. That's why I like the Audio Technica. For me, it worked. And what I really like is I tested it out. Actually, I was lucky enough. I had a buddy that had one, and I tested it out. He brought it to Starbucks. I tested it out, and it was awesome because you could hear slightly the background noise, but just enough to know you're doing something in a public situation. But you can hear me. You can understand me clearly. You can understand who was talking and what the point was going on around. So to me, you do like a broker tour. All the realtors on there. You're showing the house, talk about it. You're going to hear the background noise showing there's traffic going through the house, but you're also going to get that feel. I mean, I think you can do a lot of fun things, and a lavalier mic is going to help you out a lot with that. In any one of those situations, Rode, I do like the one that the iRig, as well as Tech. I think any one of those three are going to give you a solution. It's anywhere between 25 and $50. I mean, you're not going to be bad. And again, go to Amazon, put them in your cart. The best strategy I can ever give you: go to Amazon, put them in your cart, and watch the price fluctuate. And when you see it drop down, then purchase it, because you'll get warnings. They'll give you emails saying, "Hey, by the way, what you in your cart has dropped."
Yeah. And great example of that, right? Everybody here on Blab, when it first started, everybody was buying the there's a handheld microphone. I'm not too familiar with the names of it's kind of like drugs and prescriptions, man. I can never remember the names of them. But there was a mic that was, everybody was kind of using their mic from their headphone and, talking on Blab when it first came out. And then everybody kind of saw other people having mics. And so there was a big demand then for these mics, and it was a pretty cheap. I think it was like a USB mic that they plugged into the computer, and the price went from like $40 for that mic up to like $80, like overnight. So supply and demand does dictate that. ATR 2100, that's right. That is the microphone that everybody kind of went after, and that price went up quite a bit. So you're right. You do need to watch those prices because they do fluctuate a bit. And I want to make mention here too. The lavalier mic and a periscope. We talked a little bit about Catch Me, right? Mm-hmm. Repurposing your periscope videos. The lavalier mic, I think, would do a wonderful job in doing a periscope and taking out some of that background noise. And I don't see too many people on Periscope using microphones.
You see a few, and you will see the people like the Grant Cardones of the world and things like that, the ones that are actually trying to go out and make this part of their business plan. You will see them. You'll see something like what you got going here. They'll try to hide it where you can't really see the plugs, but you know that they're doing this, because you can really tell, to be honest with you can tell by the quality of this audio that they're not just using the phone mics. Because the honest answer with that is the phone mics are good. I mean, they're going to get the point across. I use them. They're going to hear me, but they're trying to catch everything. So you're going to hear everything, and they're tinny, always tinny.
Right.
If you hear me and I sound like a squirrel, then it's my phone. If you hear me and you hear my voice, now I'm using a mic.
Right.
And so you'll see it, but you're right. Most don't. But I would say when you look at Periscope and you look at anybody that's, especially in the real estate world, that's doing this, most of them are just going out there and they're doing it. They're just going. And as Tech Buzz says, everyone's trying to go for the cheapest route. So the cheapest route is to not buy a mic. So if you want to stand out, buy the mic. Again, you can spend a lot of money. I mean, you can spend $100 on a lavalier mic. And if you have that money and you're looking for that quality, by all means, go for it. But if you're looking to get something effective and still get your point across and not have to spend that money, then any of those recommendations we gave you are going to be way on course. And I think you nailed it, Jason. I think if someone wanted to separate themselves out right now, they would spend $25 to $50 and have a useful mic at this point in time that actually let them be anywhere and create good quality audio with that video that they're creating.
Yeah, and repurposing an old phone as your recording device, because I looked at the wireless microphones, and they can be quite expensive. I mean, you're talking $600 and up, $300, whatever. I've seen prices all over the place as far as those go. And when you're doing real estate, sometimes you want that long shot. You want that shot of you standing in front of the door with the camera maybe at the curb, so you get a full shot of the house or whatever, and you want to be heard, and you're not going to get that by just using the mic on the phone or your camera, and you're not even really going to get that with a shotgun mic that you might put on a camera. So wireless, is one of those options. And for the professionals, if you hire a professional, that's what they're probably going to use. But for the novice or somebody just getting into it and kind of honing their craft a little bit, having a secondary phone that you can put an app on for recording, and I'll have to put it up in the chat, the one I have. I think it's Rec Force or something like that I use on mine. It allows you even to edit within the phone. You can edit the audio and you can set the gain and stuff like that on it. I mean, it's pretty high tech. But I just slap that in my pocket, or I'm going to. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to just slap that in my pocket, put the lavalier mic on, and then I can walk around anywhere and talk, and have good audio quality.
Well, and I think you hit it earlier too when you're talking about how realtors, they want to maybe pan. One of the things that I think realtors fail to do, and not that like you're doing a video tour, a virtual tour, or whatever you want to call it, for a house, not that it's really about you being in there, not like you need to see me, but there are point in times when you need to introduce or conclude. And what you'll see is you'll hear people behind the phone talking, right? Here's what we're talking about, blah, 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 blah. And that's fine. There's some effectiveness to that. But at some point in time, you need to be in front of that camera and sit there and say, here's what we're going to walk you through today. Here's what we're going to do. Give that personal touch. But no one wants it. Realtors are scared of you, so they don't do that. But also, if you're doing it that way without a lavalier mic, you got to stand far enough back so people can still see your background and what's going on to get that across. If you go so far, you're going to lose the audio because it sounds, if they don't have a mic, it's going to sound echoey, boom, 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 right? Or it's going to sound like a boom mic. Maybe it's going to sound a little too, distant, right, for that stuff to happen. Right. And I think you're right. Again, we'll talk about that. It looks like it'll be the 1st of January before we get to the last session, but we'll talk about like kind of purpose cases and how to create videos next time around. But I think you make an excellent point where realtors need to stop being afraid of being in front of the camera and actually get in there, but understand perspective, right? Because again, you don't want to be so close you can't see anything, but you need to be far enough back where you can get things and still be heard. And the only way you're going to get that is if you have some sort of audio solution, a mic of some sort in place. And for most, if you're doing it by phone, which I think 80% of realtors will do, you're going to have some sort of lavalier mic. Yeah,
absolutely. I want to talk too about some editing tools too that we I know we don't have it on our list here, but once you have the video itself, then there are some editing tools to use that are very, very easy and upload directly into YouTube. I think too many times I've seen some videos that they just upload straight from their phone, right? They just video it and then, okay, here hit the YouTube video upload and done with it. And then they forget about it. They don't take the time once it's in YouTube to maybe put it in a playlist or, put some headlines to it or do some other things to that video. Therefore, then it gets lost. And then realtors or whoever's creating the video then just says, hey, I didn't get any hits on that. So why am I doing that? I'll refocus my energy on mailers or some other kind of marketing strategy. When in fact, that YouTube video might be pretty good if you just put it into a YouTube editor. Mm-hmm. So a couple of the ones that I've used, and I'm gonna pull them up here for you, but I've used VideoPad Editor, which is pretty good. It's a free one. I'm only using the free one. And some people, I don't want to get too technical, because if you start getting too technical, you start to get, I don't want to say technical, but you start to get too involved to where you become a producer or you become an editor rather than a realtor, right? So if you're going to get really elaborate with something, you might want to hire somebody. But for the weekend warrior kind of thing, VideoPad is a good one. And then also just the one that comes with your computer. If you're on a PC, Microsoft has their video editor already built in to most computers. That's pretty effective. I mean, you can do a lot of things. You can change the exposure. You can add words. You can change the slides on how they transition from one scene to another. You can add audio, all that kind of stuff, as we talked about before, and kind of mirror the two together within that software. And then you can upload it straight into Facebook, YouTube, whatever. It's pretty good software. It's not going to give you some of the other editing features that you may have, like in an Adobe or something like that, but it is going to allow for some pretty cool. It doesn't have like a green screen kind of thing or anything like that associated with it, but for the like I said, the realtor maybe just showing an open house or something like that, it is a pretty effective tool to get your feet wet into.
Yeah, the other one I would add, because I actually have I use it a fair amount, is inside YouTube. I upload all my videos in there. Yeah. And YouTube. There's a basic editor in there that will do a lot. And plus, if you want to add intro music and outro music, they do have some basically Creative Commons stuff that's right there that you don't have to worry about from any perspective that way. Right. So I would agree. I don't, is VideoPad by the name? I'm going to suspect that VideoPad is it iPad, or is that just, they're just trying to play on pad?
Yeah, I think they're just trying to play on pad. I don't have an iPad. I have a PC. I'm not sure if they have a version for the Apple. I know Apple has a video, and I'm not an Apple guy. My apologies, but there is within Apple has a compatible or a competitive video editor within Apple as well. I'm not sure the name of it. Maybe somebody in the chat, I don't know, might know the name of that, but I'm not quite sure of that. But I hear it's pretty good. It's pretty not too powerful, but powerful enough.
Because the thing that I'm finding fascinating right now is, and I haven't researched enough, and maybe it'll be a future blab session for us, is you're starting to see a lot of tablet-based video editing solutions come out. Such as I know Adobe is building their video editor into a light mode that that you can put onto like a tablet and do some basic editing in there. You know, it's not going to be high end. You're not going to change a ton of stuff. But again, from a real estate perspective, you know, I don't want them. In all due candor, I don't want realtors spending 5 hours working on editing. I want you to hire someone like Jorge, or, you know, maybe me that has a couple extra minutes in a day to do something like that. I don't want them doing that, because I want them getting out selling homes. But I do want them to understand that, you know, you can do some basic things in a quick manner. If you take 30 minutes, you should be able to get this done every time.
Yeah. And I want to make a statement here too, about video. And it's we talked earlier in the conversation about, you know, being aware of your surroundings, right? And kind of looking at it through the lens, or not through the lens, but from the other side of the lens, right? And so the other thing I want to make mention here is, don't overdo your videos. Don't make your videos, and this is just my opinion, don't make your videos, you know, 30 minutes long. You know, get the point across, get to the point, get through it, and be done with it. You know, videos, Google and YouTube, they look at how long people spend on a video. If your video is 30 seconds, for example, long, and somebody watches it for 15 seconds, that's 50% of that video. That helps your rankings, to my understanding, a lot better than somebody who has a 5-minute video and somebody only watches 1 minute of that video. So the only time that, you know, you have a long video, there are certain situations where you're going to need a long video, right? Long video for, you know, tutorials or, you know, other things. But if you're showcasing a house, make it a 30-second commercial. You don't have to show the toilet in the house in the video, right? We all know, we all get there's indoor plumbing now. We get it. Showcase the features that really sell that house, whether that be the views, maybe the fireplace, maybe the back patio, whatever the case may be. Showcase those, tease people into wanting to see more, not less. And so don't make your videos too long, I guess, is my point. So when we talk about tools, make the videos short. And, you know, you may want to film a lot of the house, but in the editing process and using some of these, cut some of that stuff out. You don't need it all. You're on mute, buddy.
I'm sorry, trying to keep my coughing out to a minimum. I would agree completely. To me, video long. I mean, I'm creating a lot of video right now for various training classes that I'm building.
Yeah.
And I have a ton of videos in my computer, so much so that I got to actually start getting them to a hard drive on the side. But I'm only using short segments of it, because that's the stuff I'm trying to get across from a perspective. And I would say the same thing here. Video everything. And even talk during it if you think you have to. Don't worry about coming back later and editing it, as you were saying, and put voiceover on the top of certain sections. Maybe you said something and you jumbled 5 times and sneezed or whatever. Right. You can edit out that audio at any point in time with any of those softwares that we talked about, where you can take that stuff out and then come back in and re-add it. So to me, I would assume that's how most productions people do it, but add a ton, take what you need and go through. You know, it's not like we're trying to skew a story. We're trying to market. And actually what I laugh is, I do agree short is better, because there's actually strategies going out there. I think it's maybe Geico. There is some company out there right now that is literally doing 5-second commercials, and they're getting big success rates out of them. So they're putting on YouTube and the intro channels, they're doing these things, and, you know, they're basically saying 5 words and they're getting huge follows on it.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? That's the trend. I mean, you look at Twitter, look how successful Twitter is. Twitter is only 140 characters, I think it is, or whatever it is. It's very short. So they're like, hey, get to the point. You know, if you're going to tweet something, get to the point. And you get creative with that. And then with in streaming, or I think it's called in streaming with YouTube, where you have that 5 seconds and then you can skip the ad or whatever. You know, in order to capture somebody's attention, you got 5 seconds to capture their attention. So you got the same kind of thing going on with your videos. Right?
Well, think about that. If you could think about that from a real estate perspective, even if they skip the video, and it's weird because there's rules with the advertising that goes on with YouTube that, you know, if they go 5 seconds and they skip it, you don't get charged.
Right. Right.
So
exactly.
create a 5 second home sale advertisement, put it out there, and if they hit skip, bully, you just got free advertisement and you spent no cents on anything.
Right. No, that right now, and now I think YouTube is starting to change that a little bit, not the 5 second deal, but they're allowing you on your channel to either monetize, not monetize, and people are catching on to that where they weren't before.
Yeah, they're starting to change rules a lot of times. A lot of videos are starting to get pulled.
Yeah, so your video may not be on, but you're absolutely 100% correct, because I've done this. You can piggyback off the success of another video through making that in-stream video. And you can really target your audience. It's not going to go, you know, as a realtor, you know, if I'm in Arizona, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, I could care less if somebody in Miami sees my video unless they're looking for property here in Arizona. But you can really target the videos that are in your market area or your market share. So it's really pretty fantastic, and it is a good way to brand yourself and market yourself. You know, a person who does a really good job with that is Jake Larson. I follow him quite a bit. He does a really, really good job with that and has had very good success with his videos. So you can look up Jake Larson. He's on YouTube. He explains that process and the in-stream video very, very well. I think he sells a course on it too. But he's a good person to know in that arena. He's done some big speaking events for YouTube and stuff like that. So he does a really nice job.
To find that. I was trying to find it quick. I couldn't see it fast enough. I knew who you're talking about, and I thought I subscribed to him, but I obviously don't.
Yeah.
Because I've caught him a few times.
Yeah.
On that.
But you're right. That's a tool, right? That's a tool. The in-stream video, once you make the video, that's a tool that you can then use to help build your brand. So,
oh yeah, completely. I think their strategy, and you know, again, we haven't really. I mean, we could talk. I mean, we probably could talk a year on video because there's just so much stuff going on that stuff. Right. That I do think that is a strategy and a tool you got to put in place, right? Because you have this, and again, you know, we're creating videos now through Blab that I can push to YouTube, and I could take a snippet out of here. Maybe we said something funny. You put one of your sound effects in there. Boom, I'm done. Right. And now I can advertise that.
Right.
You know, you have all these things that are in place in there. And what I'm really loving with as far as tools go on the YouTube channel, you have all sorts of ability to start marketing stuff and putting different things in there and strategically place them so it's not distracting on the video. Right. You know, when we get done putting this stuff in here, I upload straight into YouTube. And one of the things I do is I put both of our cards in there. So I put my card and your card in there where it's advertising. When they want to learn more about Justin or Jason, they just click on that and now it'll take them to our appropriate websites. Yeah. Which at some point in time I probably should talk to you, see if you want to go to the website, you want to go to your YouTube channel. I just put it to your website right now.
Oh, website's cool. Absolutely.
But you know, to me, those are the things that these are all tools and solutions that you got to keep in mind, because these are things that are implicitly marketing your information at no cost.
Yeah. And now, explain the card real quick, because I don't know if everybody gets the card. I get it, but you know,
well, it's going to be kind of hard to see. But if I sit there, so where my X is right up here, there's usually an eye on YouTube. And if I click on that eye over on the right-hand side, basically about right here where my finger is, you can pull out and there's going to be different things, hot links that you can go to. It can forward you to specific spots on the website or on the video tours, things like that, or take it to your channel. But what you can also do is things are called cards, and Twitter calls cards as cards too. But you can create basically a business card on there, essentially is all it really is. And when you pull it out there, you're going to have your name. It's going to populate out there with a logo. And when you click on that, it will take you to wherever you want them to go. Again, it could be a specific website. It could be, really, to be honest with you, since we were talking about mics, you could have your affiliate page on Amazon. It could take you to that affiliate page on Amazon saying, by the way, you really want this mic? Go here.
They're very effective. And the big YouTubers that do a lot of YouTube videos, they get a lot of traffic from those cards. So they are very, very effective.
Well, I tried affiliates earlier, and it failed on me miserably, but I did nothing. I had it out there. I advertised on Twitter 5 times. I went, okay, this stinks.
Yeah.
right? But with the things that we're doing now, I'm definitely, before I launch this one on YouTube, I'm definitely going to be creating my affiliate stuff again, because you're right. There's a lot of success from affiliate marketing in this regards that happens out there that takes that link back to them and goes in there. By the way, since we talked about affiliate marketing, please understand there are affiliate laws out there that says you have to make sure that people are aware that you are getting paid for this marketing link.
Right.
But I think it's a great business.
Within YouTube, there are all kinds of tools. You just got to get in there and mess around with it.
The Creative Studio is awesome.
And there's all kinds of videos. In fact, there's a couple of gentlemen and ladies who are on Blab on a pretty regular basis that are big YouTube people. They do really successful things on YouTube. And yeah, they may not be selling real estate. However, the same principles apply to the video. So, look some of those people up. I'll try to get some of their names here for us. But
I would agree. I think that's the best way to go right now, right? I think one of the things that you can do the best if you're new to trying to create video and you don't know where to start or even what to do, start going to YouTube and literally YouTube real estate video or something squirrely and just follow along with people that's going out there and doing this. Because I think one of the things that we miss out on a lot right now is the fact that everybody goes, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. Okay. And that's fair. But get in there, watch other people doing it. Because I tell you what, there is no limit of opportunities or options out there. I forget what it is. I was just looking at a stat somewhere. What is it? Like 500 million hours of video watched a month or something. I mean, it's a strange number. I got to pull that number up again. I was just reading this the other day. The amount of YouTube videos watched in a day and the minutes watched is insane.
Yeah.
It is just nuts. And I think it's awesome because that proves the point why we're doing these sessions right now is that is so important for us as real estate professionals to understand how to get in there. And it's not, and again, we'll talk about this in the next session, but it's not all about creating the video tours. It's not all about creating an about me, although those are important. It's got to be about what you're trying to do. And it's also understanding about the tools that are in place to help you get the point across you need to get across. Do you put a little widget that flies across the bottom of your screen talking about something? Do you have the cards on the right-hand side that talk about something? Do you have, do you market to someone else? Do you use advertising dollars to go that way? There's all sorts of things you have to be aware of inside these channels. And the better thing, to me, YouTube is huge because not only can you create what's called a channel in YouTube, which is basically your YouTube page, but you can also create all these playlists in there, which so you can categorize your videos. Here are all my video tours. Here are about my city highlights. Here is about X, Y, and Z. Here are all my need to knows, right? You can create all these amazing categories that people, once they find you, can come in there and start going, oh, geez, Jason knows a ton about X, Y, and Z. I really got to call him up because I got to figure out what's going on.
Right.
And we just, we got to take advantage of we got to understand the tools before we starting creating there. Because it's great to have a collection in a library, but if you don't know how to organize this stuff, now you're going to spend equally as many hours later reorganizing stuff to be effective.
Yeah. And the name is Robert Blake. He's on Blab here all the time. He does a really good job. He's done, actually, he went from like 0 to hero and he kind of walks everybody through that. Another channel is Video Creators. They do a nice job in explaining their videos and how to get SEO and all the other kind of things that are related to YouTube. And there's a few other ones out there, but those are two to kind of get you started there. But I want to talk too before, we've been talking a lot here about YouTube and we're kind of running out of time. We got about 15 more minutes. Desktop, right? There's a place for, the phone and shooting video. And I see a lot of people who actually use their phone and then route it through their desktop, and it's very complicated. But there are easy solutions, right? And for web cameras, I use the Logitech C920. I think that's what you use as well. It's under $100. I think I paid like $69 or something like that, or $65 at Best Buy for it. Amazon might be a little bit cheaper. I don't know, but it does a really, really nice job. Really nice job. Much better than my laptop computer or, camera.
Oh yeah, I would agree completely. I mean, if you're trying to get by, then use your webcam on the desktop. I mean, they're sufficient. They're not great. They're going to be SD quality, where the 920 is HD quality. It's 1080p. So it's definitely a strong video. And they even got, I mean, worst thing about it is even if you didn't have a mic to go, which I would cure to getting a mic for your desktop solution. The mic on the C920 is fair. It's decent. Yeah. Now it's going to pick up more because it's a big broadcast mic.
Right.
But it's fair, right? You could get through it. Right. Until you could make the, $50 to $100 for a desktop mic that you'd want to use. But the video I think is great. And again, it's cheap. I mean, when I bought it when it first came out, and it was still under $100. It was like $95.
Yeah.
And I have never looked back. Can you get better mics? For sure. Or better cameras? For sure you can, right. But I don't see any reason for it. Are you using yours right now?
Yeah, I'm on the C920 right now.
So am I. And I don't think you could even really name a difference between the quality between that and using like an HD camera on the right-hand side. The only difference you would have with a camcorder itself is you get a little more editing, a little more, as you were talking, like frame rate issues and
right.
lighting concerns. You have a little more control over that you don't have with a webcam.
Right. It does come with a pretty powerful adjustments and stuff like that. So again, take the time and be aware of what you're filming and how it looks. When I first came on, it always comes, the white balance always comes, down on the Logitech. So I look like a blue avatar. So I have to adjust the white balance to get, color in my skin. So I don't look like took a bunch of, what's that?
I'm just white.
Nickel or something like that and turns you blue. Look like a smoke.
Yep. I live in Illinois. I'm just always white.
So just, there are good, inexpensive tools that you can put on your computer to film maybe at your office or wherever you're at in your settings to capture what you're looking to try to capture.
No, absolutely. And I think along with that stuff, again, we'll talk about that a lot next time around, but make sure you know what's going on in your background. And then find distance, and you got to understand the distance perspective, and it's going to take some playing. The other thing that I would recommend, and I don't do it, and it looks like I don't know if you do it or not. Right now, I should do it this way. If you're going to use like a webcam mic, right now mine sits on top of my laptop. Right. I really shouldn't do that. I really should put it on the right or left-hand side where it's sitting a little better at a better angle. Mm-hmm. I just haven't bought a second small mic stand that would actually let me control where I could put that. But the nice thing about that C20 mic is it actually has that little screw on the bottom where you can put it on any stand.
Yeah, you can put it on a tripod. It's got little like kind of a angled deal here where you can leverage it and snap it onto, ledges or, whatever. I have mine on the top of my computer right now. That's where I do it. And it's a good point that you bring up, Justin, because I see a lot of people who have their camera like down at their keyboard or something like that. And now you're looking up through their nostrils into their brain cavity or something. It's like, good grief, man. I mean, make sure that your angles on your camera are set properly. I don't want to see it, way in the corner of the room either, looking down where, unless that's kind of what you're doing. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but if you're going to be talking to the camera, don't try to talk to the camera from way across the room. Have one, close. Maybe there's a purpose for having a camera in the corner if you want to show behind the scenes or, you're flipping between scenes or whatever. That's cool because that makes it a little entertaining and you feel like you're captivating the audience a little bit better to see, so that they can see what you see kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that's down the road. I think that's for a more professional kind of deal. If you're just starting out, you want to keep it simple, right? Just like I said, keep it simple, stupid. Just put the camera in front, talk to the camera, get your point across.
Look at the camera, which is what I always got. I got to start putting a yellow techie note in there. Look at the camera.
Yeah, I try to make a habit of looking at the camera all the time. Although in Blab, you're always kind of, looking. Yeah, because you're instinctively looking at the person when they're talking. Yeah, and that takes practice. It just takes practice.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't do bad when I am actually doing video myself. But when I'm doing sessions like this, I wonder if people are wondering what the heck I'm doing because it's up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah. That's why I try to put the camera close to the Blab. Like I got a couple different screens going on here. And so I put the Blab underneath the camera so that it's only an eye flick away rather than a head turn away or something like that, No,
I completely agree. And I think desktop solution is great for that. Because again, when you get with the Logitech C920, one of the things I like about that device is you can go to their website and download a driver or a software application that will let you create videos right from there.
Yeah.
And now you can upload to YouTube. You can put in VideoPad, Microsoft Editor, whatever it is, and you can go through and edit that stuff and make it really, really helpful for yourself. And I love the fact that that tool is pretty much an all-in-one encapsulated device that you put in there. Now, as far as tools, and I didn't put this on our rundown, but one of the things I think you want to be aware of is if you are going to do video, they're memory extensive, right? They're just challenging on that. So you're going to want at some point in time have a hard drive, and you can buy them cheap. I mean, I think they're at Costco right now, you get a 3 terabyte drive for $100, 120, something like that. So they're cheap, but you want that stuff to start moving that video off once you have created it and done doing whatever you need to do with it, and put it somewhere else. So you have it for storage or somewhere else, because you'll run out of memory fast.
Yeah. Yeah, you will run out of memory fast. Let me ask you, with the C920 and that web camera, is there an ability to put like watermarks or anything like that while you're filming on there?
No, I think that would be, again, one of your things, because I think you have solutions that I have not put in place yet. They don't have that kind of stuff in there, but you do have softwares, and I think you're playing with a couple of them. I know one is Minicams. I think you got a different one that you're starting to play with a little bit more that will let you do those things. So
yeah, XSplit. I use XSplit a little bit. It's good, but it does take a lot of CPU usage on the computer, so it does kind of delay things. I'm not running it right now because of that reason. But it is a good software program, xsplit.com, and it's free. I use the free version. You can get the paid version. I think it's pretty inexpensive. But again, this is where it starts to get a little like, I think we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, because again, you could spend money on anything when it comes to video and trying to promote video and making video and editing video and all this other kind of stuff. It all starts to add up. So I try to always go with the free version, because I know that's what realtors, it's hard. It's hard to spend money and justify that money if you don't get some results or some return on that money. So I always try the free version first, and then if I see success with it, then I'll move to the paid version. So
I would agree completely. To me, if you can, and most softwares do that, right? Some will let you have free forever with limited options. Some will give you just like a 10-day trial, whatever it is. But whatever it is, try to test it out the best you can before you decide that you want to spend any money on it. I mean, by all means, always take advantage of any free solutions first before you pay for it. And I'm willing to pay if it's proven to be useful for me from a business perspective. Yep. If it does not become useful, then thank you and move on.
Right.
And most softwares do that. You just got to be careful, because sometimes those trial days will catch up on you.
Yeah. You got to put a date in the calendar, right? We talked about calendars.
Yes.
Keep me or whatever it is in Google. A Post-it note deal.
Yes, I like Keep. And that's a great little reminder tool saying, cancel, unsubscribe, whatever.
Right. All right, cool, man. So, I think we covered pretty much everything. I think. What do you think?
The only other thing I want to mention, and it's only worth a slight mention because most of us can't use it. I don't know if maybe someone here has the ability to use it yet or not. Is just be prepared. Facebook Mentions is coming out. It has been out for a little bit of time.
Yes.
It's a Meerkat Periscope type solution, but it's going to be in Facebook. And again, remember, Facebook has the biggest solution, biggest viewership out there. So just keep an eye on that. If you really want to be video and you really want to do like a Periscope, which is a more interactive solution inside there, just keep a watch out for that, because I don't know if it'll ever come to the everyday consumer level, but any person that gets enough viewership, enough interaction on their Facebook pages, eventually will have open to it. Right now they're doing celebrities only and, big hitters.
Verified accounts, whatever, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you about that, Facebook, because that's going to be an interesting little, I don't want to say game changer, but it'll be interesting to see that competition come in.
I don't think it'll cure. I don't think it would kill Periscope, but it would kill Meerkat, right? Meerkat is its own company. And it uses Twitter to identify yourself.
Right.
Periscope is a Twitter product.
Yeah.
So you're not really going to kill Periscope just based on Facebook coming out. But yeah, and I think that's why I'm glad you said that, Marty. I'm glad, because I haven't seen that to be true. I've just heard it. So Marty's saying that it will eventually, it's going to be gradual to everyone. And I think that's going to be awesome. And that will kill Meerkat. Meerkat will be done.
Yeah.
Periscope will stick around because it's actually been a little longer. They've done some neat things. But from what I have seen with a lot of people that are playing with the Facebook mentions and they're calling it Facebook Live, I guess now they've kind of changed the name, is it's going to be the same thing, right? You're going to have a chatting option. People are going to be able to kind of communicate with you on the same thing, kind of a live scenario.
Right.
But it's going to be advertising to your Facebook audience.
Yeah.
Which could change, which will be really interesting to see, because it could change your philosophy on how many people follow you from a personal, because this isn't your business account, at least not initially, I don't think. And Marty can correct me. Okay. Marty's saying they're two different things. So Facebook Live and Mentions. I'm only used to Mentions. I guess I'm not used to Live. Mentions is a social atmosphere talking type channel. But either way, I think it'll become an interesting game changer, because right now they are requiring you to only have this option in your Facebook personal account, not your business page. Okay. Well, right now I'm deleting people left and right inside of inside my Facebook account. Because when I first got taught in Facebook, have everybody come in. Well, now I got a business page and I'm trying to get people out of there that I don't want to see in my newsfeed all day long.
Right. Right.
Well, depending on how this works, you may want to have more people again back into your personal page, because that's how you're going to advertise some of this stuff. I would think that they're going to push this stuff to the business pages, but I think it's going to be an interesting ebb and flow that happens with this along that ways. And Marty, if you want to come in for a couple minutes, if you can explain this better than me, I'd appreciate it, because I know Mentions, I'm not as familiar with Live as I thought I was, because I thought they were the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with either. I'm only, like I said, I'm a novice at Facebook. Call me crazy, right? I was one of the rebels on Facebook. I didn't think it was going to really amount to anything. So I've only used Facebook over the past couple of years. So I'm not too savvy now my wife, holy moly, she's savvy. Me, I'm not so savvy when it comes to that. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now we got a real professional back here. Nice background and everything.
Yeah. Looks good, man. Love it.
But yeah, it's funny you guys are discussing this, because there's that it's easily confusing. Facebook does not make it easy to figure this stuff out. But just I know Tech Buzz, Steven's another
he's
guy.
I love his show.
Yeah, all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
But anyways, Mentions is for the verified people. So if you're a celebrity or if you have a verified page, you get access. That's a separate app, and they access to that. And that has some special features. It has Facebook Live built in, but it has some special features to make it easier for them to interact with large amounts of fans. So that's kind of the design there. And then Facebook Live is really a separate implementation. And what they were doing, Facebook originally, they just rolled it out to Facebook Mention verified pages, and really just as a way to test it out and a way to scale up. Because again, you're looking at $1.5 billion people with Facebook accounts, and there's a lot of back end stuff that has to happen. So the experiment was a success, and right now what they're doing is it's a gradual rollout, because I guess they have to ramp up their back end. So from what I heard and what I understand, I think it started with 5% of the U.S. users, and it's funny because it's supposed to be random, but a lot of people on the West Coast I think are getting it. But over the next few months, it'll roll out to everybody. So on your personal page, you'll eventually have it, and the way to tell is if you go to it's on iOS only right now, and I would imagine eventually they'll roll it out to Android. But the way to tell, if you have iOS. You open up your Facebook app, and when you do the status update, on the bottom, you'll see where that has the camera and the location, and you can put a feeling. The very right, you'll see a little symbol. It's got like little parentheses, and that's the way you tell if you have it. And it could come at any time. So I would probably check on there, every so often and see if you have it. And again, I don't see any kind of rhyme or reason as far as people getting it.
Now, is that the Mentions, or is that the Facebook Live?
Well, Facebook Live is separate, and Facebook Live is actually integrated right into your normal Facebook app.
Okay.
So if you go ahead and open your app, and then if you were to post a status update, in fact, I'm just opening it now just to make sure I know what I'm talking about.
I have an Android, so I'm not one of the chosen few yet. I got an Android.
Yeah, I'm not either. But the way to tell, and normally I can't. You're not going to see this,
right?
But on the very bottom, if you open up a status update, And then you'll see a window. It says, what's on your mind? And on the very bottom, you'll see a row of icons grayed out. You'll see a camera, something that looks like a person with a plus sign, a smiley face, and then the location indicator.
Mhm.
And then if you have Facebook Live, there'll be an additional one to the right that looks like, I think it looks like a dot with some parentheses. And that's an indication that you have the Facebook Live. But everyone will get it. It's currently being rolled out. So I think the best thing to do is just go in there and check every so often.
Right.
And once you have it, it's pretty cool. I don't know. Have you guys played with Periscope at all?
Oh yeah, a ton.
I've done a few Periscopes. I'm kind of torn on it a little bit, but
yeah, me too.
I haven't dove into it like some other people in our industry have yet.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, I like this kind of format where you can get to talk to people. But what I like about Facebook Live, from what I've seen, is the thing with Periscope is the comments go off the screen too quickly.
Yeah, right.
But with Facebook Live, the video quality is really good. They're using live stream as their back end, and the comments stay. So even if you get off, you don't have to worry about, oh, I missed that. You can go back and actually comment afterwards. And also, since it's the algorithm and the news feed, it looks like the Facebook video will stay in and relevant in your news feed for longer than a Periscope video would be. So it's, from what you guys are talking about, it could be very interesting for the real estate. You know, it'll be interesting, certainly. You know, as we all get it eventually.
Right. No, it will be interesting. Now, how does that work? If the comments stay, do they kind of stack up on one another, and then do you disappear behind the comments? Kind of, because I noticed on Periscope where it kind of does that a lot.
Yeah, that's I don't like that about Periscope either, because it covers up the video.
Right.
It's actually underneath the video, which is great. And then when you're live, you can see the comments, coming in live in real time. But if you miss it, it doesn't matter, because they'll still stay behind, just like a normal Facebook post would be.
Right.
So you can actually, there's threaded comments, so you actually can reply and all that stuff, and it's great. So it acts like a regular post.
Now, are they going to allow you to repurpose that to like a YouTube or something like that, or is it just on Facebook and that's it?
Well, that's a good question. I think you can embed. I think it's treated just like a Facebook video would be. I don't think under normal circumstances you can download. I'm not sure if you can or not. That's a good question. I'm not sure if you upload a video you can download.
I wonder if that catch me. I wonder if that software, that app or whatever, would capture that like it does a Periscope.
That would all depend.
Yeah,
that would all depend on how much Facebook plays nice with Catch Me, because that's the trick to all this stuff, right? They got to give you the API for that. My guess is going to be, knowing how Facebook wants to keep everything Facebook, and their basic credo is world. I'm going to bet that Facebook, at least initially, until they get enough guff, they're going to have that embed. There's going to be in Facebook only solution.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. I mean, judging from what the video, and there's a value to that, certainly, but I think you can embed. You can do anything you can currently with Facebook video. And again, I'm not sure if you can. I know you can download photos and images from Facebook, but I'm not sure if you can do that with video. So time will tell there. But again, I think the advantage that Facebook has is they have the user base, certainly, and and again, the quality of video is really good. I think Periscope. It's going to be interesting how they respond, because I think they could be in trouble, because Twitter is not doing all that great compared to Facebook as far as total users. So,
well, I hear conflicting reports on that, right? I hear Facebook is dead. People say, "Oh, Facebook's over; it's done," and then you get all these other things. And the only thing about Periscope, I did a video, and I was a novice at it, but I did an open house where we had this brokers open. It was one of the pitchers for the Diamondbacks selling his house here locally, and really beautiful home. I did the Periscope of it, but then when I went back and viewed it, it was all pixelated. It wasn't very good quality. It was just horrible, and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, when I was looking at it, it looked good, right, when you're filming it, but then when it downloaded, it got all pixelated. And the one person told me that you need to hook up to the internet and not do Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi on Periscope is just no bueno, no good.
It depends. Anytime you do streaming video, a wired connection is always going to be better. Because then you're not relying on radio waves, even if you're right next to a router.
Right.
It really depends on, like, if you're doing it from a mobile device, it really depends on chances are you're going to use LTE or some type of data.
Right.
And again, it's going to depend on your connectivity. You know, if you're in an area with strong connectivity, it works pretty well.
Right.
I happen to be on Verizon. I've had good luck. I'm in the Northeast.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wi-Fi is always a dodgy deal a little bit, because you introduce the whole concept of radio waves, and there's interference there versus a wire going into. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can hook up a direct connection here. There might be a way, but again, you're kind of stuck maybe on a mobile device.
I use Verizon too, and that's the it wasn't a hotspot. It was just through the Wi-Fi. I wasn't connected to a router. I hear if you connect to a router with your phone, then even though it is wireless, it's still a heck of a lot better than just out in the middle of the woods, doing a Periscope kind of deal. So that kind of turned me off. I got to be honest, because again, it looked really good on when I was filming it from my phone, but then when I go to capture it and bring it back, it was all pixelated. And I'm like, well, what was the point? I wanted to repurpose this thing. So that was a little disappointing for me.
Well, it's always going to be a challenge right now with Periscope, Meerkat, even Facebook Live is going to be that challenge right now, because the whole point of this is to be out and be on the phone and be mobile. I mean, that's the whole point of this. So you're going to struggle a little bit with that.
What about Snapchat? Snapchat has video, right? Snapchat seems to be the rave right now. Everybody seems to be talking about Snapchat. I don't get Snapchat either. But what have you guys experimented with that? I'm on Snapchat. I guess they do a pretty good job with, your video or picture is only 24 hours, and then after which it disappears or something like that. So to try to draw people back, and try to keep you coming back to the app or whatever for quality content. But is there any? I don't know how long is a Snapchat video? Isn't it like 30 seconds or something? It's not very long, is it?
I don't know about you guys. I'm the same way, Jason. I have a Snapchat account, but maybe I'm not in the demographic. I don't know. I'm trying to get to use it. I think there is quite a bit of a limit there, and I think it's more about telling a story throughout the day. Yeah. So, and again, I'm no expert at all, but and I think the thing about Snapchat is it's because it's limited as far as the life of the actual content. It forces people to interact with it right away, and I think that's the exciting part.
Right.
But I'm far from that.
The exciting part is not your mother's not on there.
Exactly. I think that's, and you know what? It's funny because, like you guys were saying, you hear Facebook is dying, and I think maybe among some younger people, they might feel that way because they don't want to be where their parents are.
Right.
But frankly, Facebook is the 1,000-pound gorilla, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And folks that are, especially marketers or people that are looking to, use it for business, I think you have to be on it, and I think you have to learn it and learn all the nuances. And in fact, as they're getting the video, I think there's a lot of benefit there. Now, with that said, I think each platform has its case and its use case. And I think natively uploading and taking the time to, make the effort and have a plan as far as how you're going to use each platform is very, very important. That's where the trick is.
Well, the other challenge I think too for Facebook and the video or whatever, Google Plus has the same kind of thing, right? I mean, the Google Hangouts or Google, what's the other one? It's Google Hangouts and then Google, not Stream, but there's another Google thing where you can have a like this, where you have like 5 or 10 people enter a room and they have to be invited or whatever, and then it automatically will post over to YouTube. But then you can also have the video like with your iPhone kind of thing, the video chat or whatever. It really hasn't. I don't know. I don't see the algorithm or whatever the numbers on it, but it doesn't seem to have been that big of an impact on Google Plus.
Yeah, there are two different things there. Both Google Hangouts. One's Google Hangouts where it would be more Skype-like, where you're having a private conversation.
Right.
And then the thing you were mentioning is Google Hangouts on Air.
Right.
Meaning that you use the same tool, and you can have you have I think up to 9 people as participants.
I think,
and it's not only streams to your Google Plus account, but it also streams out to your YouTube account, and they're connected.
Right.
The thing about that is, and then I think where Google dropped the ball is discoverability. versus what's happening on Blab. You know, you go to Blab, you get that homepage, you get to see the value here is the community. It's small, but it's a pretty intense and very involved community.
Right.
Google Plus, much larger. It's attached to YouTube, and frankly, YouTube's not going anywhere anytime soon. You have the value of search there. All right, so your content, I think, lives longer there. So if you're looking to do something more evergreen, I think it's a great platform to use, and especially if you use, you know, you're using the right SEO and using the right keywords, and you know you're mindful of the search. I think it's great. Blab, they got a ways to go as far as their search goes, but again, they're a newer platform. So each one has their use case.
Well, what I guess my point being is that I didn't know. I don't think that Google Hangouts or Google Hangouts Live or whatever did that much to boost its popularity. In other words, people didn't, you know, get to Google Plus because they were doing a live stream. I don't think. I mean, either you were on there already or you weren't. It wasn't because now you can do a Google Hangouts kind of thing.
Well, I can tell you when they launched Google Plus for the first time and they were in beta, I had early access and the whole bit. Yeah. And there were several people on there that kind of made their name on jumping on when they launched Hangouts, jumping on and getting on video and kind of, you know, establishing, you know, start attracting that audience. And it was great early on. It very much like Blab. And then somehow it went awry and people complained it was too difficult to use. Also, just the discoverability as far as drive-by viewers. I think Blab is great for that. A lot more people kind of dumping into the room here.
Right.
But again, it's two different things. You know?
Yeah. Now, they focused, I think, a little bit more on video quality too, right? I mean, Google Hangouts and the video quality there is fantastic.
Yeah. It's funny you mention that because both like Blab uses WebRTC and it's in-browser video technology. The audio is compressed. There are limits on the quality that you can get with Blab. Versus what I like about what Google does is they have YouTube, and you certainly have Hangouts, which is also compressed. And I think the quality is better there because they do offer HD.
Right.
So you can stream in HD, but the audio is still a little compressed. The best way to do it, you know, again, it's a more advanced technique. You can use something like YouTube Live and stream direct using what's called RTMP, which is a direct streaming technology where you're streaming directly to their server. And that way you have uncompressed, much better quality audio. I'm sure it's a little compressed, but again, you have more options there. The interesting thing to see with this live streaming is there's another service out there called Fire Talk. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it. What they're doing, and they're very new, they're offering your option to either stream RTMP directly, get higher quality, do what we're doing here, which is using WebRTC and just kind of jumping on, or having a YouTube playlist when your channel's not active and have it play in linear form. So I think the story is there's a lot more to come in all this. You know,
there's still some unknowns, and I think companies are still figuring out what's the best use of resources and which direction to go. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Well, it is interesting to see. I mean, Blab is fantastic. I love this platform because, like you said, the ease of it and people coming in and out. I think the only thing I'll say for real estate is we're still trying to figure out, okay, how do we use this to benefit the business? And I think we tend to over analyze it a little bit. A lot of realtors they feel like they're in direct competition with one another. You know, if I do this, then you're going to piggyback on my coattails, and I'm going to, and they just get all bent out of shape about it rather than just doing it and putting themselves out there, because this is beta. I'm learning, and every time I get on, I get better. At least I feel like I get better. And realtors got to look at it the same way. But you can also, with this, and I think this is where Blab wants to go, is they want to get more creative. They want to have, like you have there, Marty, backgrounds, your show, whatever. Get creative within this sphere. We talked about, Twitter being 140 characters or less, and people get real creative with what they say on Twitter. Blab can be the same thing. You can get real creative within this platform to promote. And I just don't think realtors have really figured this out yet. But there's not many realtors on here either.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how this is done. But that's why we're doing this kind of thing, to kind of figure it out.
I mean, that's half the battle, is just starting. Like you guys decided to, let's hop on, let's see what happens, let's experiment. I think that's the kind of the cool thing right now is it's very hard to make a mistake because it's so early on. And being that you guys are getting on early, you can, work out a lot of the bugs. You can try different things. I mean, that's going to be also, I think, what people have to realize is it's just going to be experimentation. You have to try and see, try it. You don't know unless you try it if something's going to work. So it's good that you guys are on here early because you can try all these things and see, oh, this resonates, this doesn't. What if we change that? And it's got A/B testing. I mean, you got to just kind of go for it.
And it's not to be underestimated. It's a lot of work, right? To put on a good show, right? I mean, even 5 minutes of material, it takes 2 hours to create that 5 minutes of material, right? So it's like crazy. And I don't think that is people, they say, oh, I just put my face on there and okay, if you want to create a good show, which, I'm experimenting with by using XSplit and some of the other things, I got a green background. I really haven't put that up yet. My computer, the CPU usage, it starts to delay and it doesn't really work out too well. But once I get that kind of figured out, now I can take this block and my block, for example, and I can then impose or embed or whatever a video or pictures, and Justin can talk about those things. We talked about some of the tools. I can put up a picture of the Logitech C920 so people can see, put a link in there, even those sort of things. And I know Blab last week on their town hall, they said on these open seats that you're going to be able to put video and I think SlideShare or some other kind of tools to help with those kind of things to help create the show and make it a little easy for everybody.
Yeah, just to add on to what you're just saying there about the SlideShare, expect that to what they're saying. Expect that to be coming out any day now. And what they've done is they're going to making one of the boxes basically an embedded web browser. So what you're going to be able to do is, like you mentioned, if you have a YouTube video that you want to show during your show, you're going to be able to drop that link into the box, and then as host, you'll have control over the playback. And the cool thing is that it'll play back in full fidelity for everybody. And the other cool thing is, if you're interested in views, is say if you have 30 people on your show, right, watching, they're all watching your video, that's 30 views.
Oh my, really? Wow.
Yep. Yeah, because it's using the browser, and you're not like, for me, I have a rather intricate setup here, so I can.
Yeah. See, that's awesome.
And I can do anything I want here because I've got a switch and all that stuff. But a lot of folks don't have that, right? So how do you get started? Well, they're gonna allow you to do that, and it's gonna be and again, simplicity is gonna be key. But the cool thing is, it doesn't take any resources. So you're basically playing back an embedded video. Yeah. So it's not going to take any resources on your side as far as your computer. Everyone's going to see it as if they were watching on their own computer. You're going to have control of the playback, not only videos, but if you want to put an image in there, or I think they're like SlideShare is a service that you can share full slide decks, and then you can put the SlideShare URL in there, and then you can flip to the slides. So it's gonna be nice for folks that are just getting into video but don't have all the tools and want to do a nice clean presentation. It's gonna give you that template to do it.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. 30 views if you got 30 people in the room. That could be a game changer, right? Some of these things.
I know. Yeah. It's funny because they've been playing with it, and I've been in certain blabs where the CTO blab will come in and say, can I hijack a blab? I want to show you a feature. And they've been showing people the feature, and that question came up, and there were some marketers in the room, and their eyes were like, what?
Oh yeah, I bet. I bet. I saw yesterday too, I was in a blab about virtual VR, virtual reality goggles and stuff like that. And, we're talking about real estate and the use of virtual VR or virtual reality or whatever for real estate. And at the top on the right-hand side here, this side of the blab, where all the comments are, the chat. Above that was a map of the world, and it had dots on there for where everybody's kind of calling in from, which I thought was kind of cool. So
Yeah,
I don't see it.
And it's up there now.
Oh, it is. Okay. I don't see it because I'm a host.
Oh, you don't see it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you as a
Okay.
guest probably see that. And then the other thing, I saw one last week, and I don't know if this was a mistake, and there's a replay of it. It was from that group, Justin, the PRE or PERIRE group.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I haven't gone in that, but I know what you're talking about.
They had a blab last Monday or this Monday.
Yep.
And at one point in that blab, in that replay, 6 boxes popped up instead of 4.
Really?
I don't know if that was a mistake or what, but check out that replay of that blab. You'll see 6 boxes. And the one person was like, "Oh, well, I don't see you, but I see this other person in your block space." But on the replay, there were 6 blocks.
You know what that could be? This is part of the bugs that they're trying to work through. It's called ghosting. So sometimes what you'll do, and I've seen this in blabs, where someone will pop out and someone else will pop back in. And for some reason, it puts the other person's video and then the other person's underneath with their audio, or it has 2 in one box. And since this website's responsive, if you bring it up, if you make it big enough on a big enough monitor, you can kind of see something popping below.
Yeah,
I think it's more. I think what you're describing is more of a bug than anything. Yeah, I know. I don't think they're going to go more. I don't think they're going to go beyond the 4 windows, because much beyond that, it starts to get a little bit unwieldy.
You get 6, you're going to reduce the screen size of everybody that's out there.
Well, you do have the black area here on the sides, right? So I don't know if you maybe change that over and push it over a little bit. Maybe you could get the same size boxes, on the screen. But I thought, maybe they were experimenting with the extra, the 6 boxes for that very purpose of having the slide share or the embedded YouTube and still have 4 people in the room.
That's a good point. I know one of the things they've been talking about, and the pros on here, we would love to have, one of the things we're screaming for is responsive video windows. So it's very difficult. So for example, say, and I'll give you a prime example, Adobe, the Adobe software company that does Photoshop and Illustrator and all that, they recently updated their Creative Suite. So they have a whole bunch of applications in this suite that you can rent, by the month. So they came on here and they did a demo of what were the updates. So they were using one of the boxes as a screen share. So they want to show their desktop so they can demo the app. Problem is that since these boxes are not resizable, they're small, it's very difficult to do a full screen demo.
Right.
So I think they're working on that, because that would, for me, what I would do is I would use one window and I would do everything here and stream it out and have that as an option. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to work on different templates. So if you like the 4-box template, when you launch a show, you can use that. If you want to use one screen or maybe a larger window up top and then 2 on the bottom, I think that's kind of what they're trying to see if they can provide.
Yeah. I gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, depending on your show, you have different needs for what you're trying to do. Right.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm that's the cool thing about this platform, and like you said, getting in so early, is that they are trying to adapt things and they are listening to fellow blabbers, if you will, and the needs of the fellow. I mean, when I first came on, and I've only been on, I don't know, maybe 90 days, I don't know, maybe 100 days or whatever. But when I first came on, the audio was like horrible. I mean, you'd have one person who was like super loud, the other person mouse quiet. And it wasn't very equal. As of late, everybody seems to be pretty equal as far as the volume goes. So they acquired Pod something, or Pod some kind of Pod.
PodClear.
Yeah, PodClear, and maybe PodClear has put some kind of equalization before they actually gets to my ears, kind of thing. Because I have. Yeah,
I don't think they did anything there. I think what they've done is they've tweaked the video, some of the bit rate and the video and some of the audio compression. So you're right. There is definitely, I've noticed it certainly in the video as well. The audio, the issue with the audio is it's what's called half duplex, meaning that only one side can talk. And what it'll do is when I'm talking, it'll duck your video down a little bit. So it makes it very difficult to play music. It doesn't sound very good. And that's why that direct streaming would, you know, and again, that's, I think, way off on their horizon. You know, I don't think they have any plans to do that. But like I bring up firetalk.com. They have the 3 different things where you can do the direct streaming and you don't have that issue. Right. And you can still do the WebRTC like we're doing here, that direct access, and then you can play the playlist. So, you know, I think, again, they're tweaking it. Again, they got bandwidth issue, and they got a lot of stuff going on in the background that they have to deal with. So
it's a big undertaking, no question about that.
They've made strides since it first started.
Oh, huge!
Yep,
man.
I agree.
I mean, for a free service, I mean, come on. I mean, they're changing.
Yeah, don't be saying that out loud. I'm waiting for that one to fall.
I think it's going to.
It's expensive.
I don't think it's going to. I'll be honest. I mean, from what I see of Sean coming onto the Blabs, and he wants to keep this free. He wants to, you know, now having maybe advertising on the side where there's black areas or something like that as part of that. He's made mention, I think, a couple weeks ago, that if they get paid and your video, kind of like the YouTube thing, they want to give a share of that back to the person who provides the blab, because without us blabbing, they have nothing really. So they want to share that a little bit. So I don't think it's going to be a service where, I think that would kill it, to be honest with you. If I asked my subscribers to come in and pay 50 cents to watch me, I don't think they would do it.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree completely. That's what Patreon's all about.
Yeah,
Patreon is all about you paying for tipping, essentially, how you want to call it, for you giving out this video. There's a way of them showing thanks. That's the whole business model.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If I had some celebrity status or something like that already coming into it,
it could hurt us.
Yeah, for me, the average Joe, I don't think anybody's going to really pay to see Jason Bates. Who cares about Jason Bates? You know. So, but for like, if you want to watch U2 or some other okay, yeah, I could see that, right? But I just don't. And Blab, from what I understand, and the owners of Blab and who run, they want the common person to have a voice, and that's what this platform is for, to make it simple, you know, ease of use, all that sort of stuff plays right into exactly, you know, it's like the video streaming of podcasting, just makes it easy, right? So I don't think that they're ever going to charge for it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because ultimately, you know, certainly, you know, the standard is YouTube and YouTube Live, and they what's great is they offer free direct streaming. You can use Google Plus. They have the infrastructure, they have the users, and they have the advertising, and they can support it. It's well established, and it's been around since 2005 or 6. I think they bought it in 2006. But this is what the challenge for all these streaming apps and streaming companies is. It's incredibly expensive to do this and do it at a high quality. Right. And what's going to happen? Are they going to get the critical mass they need to provide a business model where they can use advertising or something that they can generate income, and then keep the actual service free for creators? And then you still have to attract the creators to come here. And what do you do there? YouTube already pays out a little bit. So it's going to be very interesting how they balance that, because without the really professional creators and people that are going to put the time, like you were mentioning, I think, and rightly so, the preparation is key, right? And you said, you know, it takes 2 hours to prepare for a half-hour show, which is absolutely correct. You know, my previous life, I worked for the leading sports network, cable network, and you all know what that is. It begins with an E, ends with an N, and people that don't have TV experience have no idea what it takes. 99% of the things you don't even see.
Right. You
see the 1% on the air, and right. your approach is absolutely spot on. I mean, you guys are actually thinking about it like a show, and you're putting the work in to prepare. You know, I think that's who's going to win. The people that just get on, and if you want to use it as a chat service, go right ahead. But if you're expecting to do a show, I don't think people realize how much work that is to do it well.
Yeah, there is some value in you know, I've seen a couple blabs where there's people, you know, hanging out in their bedroom or whatever, and you know, maybe they're a little entertaining with their personality or something like that. I saw a blab where some girl just got out of the shower and she's doing her makeup or something like that. I'm sure there's an audience for that, right? But for our arena and what I want to be associated with, that's not really it. And they said too, you mentioned, Marty, at the beginning, where you have like the searchability, and you can click on, you know, the different subjects or whatever, and then it just narrows it down to what you want to watch. As more people become and get on Blab, you know, when I first came on, it was only like a couple scrolls down and all the videos were live. That was it. Now, in the heat of the day, it's a pretty fair way down to get to the test sessions, if you will. And as more people get on there, it's just going to get more and more crowded. So then you'll start to go over and say, okay, I want to look at blabs related to business or related to whatever, and those different categories. So there is a space for those what do I call those? What's Paris Hiltons, if you will, that just kind of, you know, do whatever and people will watch that. But for us and our profession, I think having the show and have these other tools, and I think that's really where Blab wants to go. They've already spoken of having you know, no pornography, no, you know, racial kind of, you know, tension kind of things on here. So they're really trying to set some boundaries, at the same time try to attract as many people as possible to help build the platform.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see how that.
Well, they're doing the right steps, because this was tried about 2 years ago. Same format, 4 boxes, comment on the right-hand side, and it vanished almost overnight. I mean, it vanished about as quick as it started. So what these guys are doing is staying, because this one seems to be lasting longer than the last one that was doing the same exact thing.
We'll see. I mean, there's some anecdotal evidence that the growth has kind of flattened. You know, we it's funny because we talk about this all the time. There's a group of us that talk about the business model because we all want it to stay. We love it here. Certainly, at least for the camaraderie, you know, meeting people, making connections. You know, I work from home. You know, I hang out with a lot of people, kind of like a co-working space, and kind of like shooting the breeze and connecting. So it's great for that. So I hope it hangs around, because I met a lot of great people here. But again, they have a certain runway, you know, and, you know, hopefully things will work out and they can grow it and they can make a go of it. Because it's a money suck, certainly. And, you know, there's a time limit. There's a clock is ticking. So.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a clock ticking, and you know, Marty, what do you think is the for somebody starting out in Blab or trying to use this platform, what is most important? You know, we always talk about, you know, content, gotta have good content, right? Audio, we talk about audio. I hear a lot of people say audio's over video. You can put up with a bad video if you have great audio. Is it because this is where I think people struggle? Like, they think they have to be on the cutting edge. And sometimes simple is good, right? So, you know, you've got a great set. Your lighting's perfect. Your video's awesome. It looks fantastic. What do you think is most important when it comes to starting a Blab or starting the video? What would be your opinion?
I think it's a balance of both. You know, so the great news is, and I'll show you. I'll give you an example. I'm not sure what you guys are using for webcams, but this is a Logitech C920.
That's
right now. I'm using a camcorder, and I'm using a kind of a complicated setup here to do what I'm doing. Yeah. But that camera there is $60 on Amazon. Yeah. A microphone, and you using a professional mic. You can get a Audio Technica ATR 2100. It's a dynamic microphone, plug and play USB. Sounds just as good as this Heil PR40, which is $350.
Yeah.
For Blab. For anywhere from $35 to $50. So for less than $100, you can get set up and look quite good and sound quite good. Yeah. And, you know, you don't even need any special lighting. If you're in a well room, you should be fine.
Right.
And that's all it takes. You know, no technical knowledge. Both devices plug and play into USB. You select the camera and the microphone in the browser. Yep. And you're ready. And I would start there.
Right.
If you're just here just to have fun, go for it. Do whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. If you expect to come out here and do it on a professional level, meaning that you have a business and you want to talk about that business and you want to present yourself in a positive light, right? You know what? I mean, content is very important, but also presentation is important. And it doesn't have to be an expensive setup and complicated to start. You just need a good quality webcam, good quality microphone, very inexpensive. You're ready to go. And the other thing is preparation in your content. I think you guys said it very, very well. Again, if you want to present a professional presentation, you can make sure your content's good. Make sure you know it. Make sure you can talk to it. You know, you certainly have your bullet points. You know, plan out your show,
Yep.
But, you want to be able to talk to your subject, and you want to be able to answer questions. This is an interactive platform.
Yep.
So you want to invite people into the seats. You want to answer the questions in the comments. So I think you have to look at content that you're familiar with and that you're passionate about.
And that's I'm glad you brought that up, because every realtor that I go to and say, hey, why don't you get on a blab with me? Well, I don't know. What if I get asked a question I don't know? I'm like, well, that's the point. You got, we pick the content, we pick the headline, study it. What's the problem? If you don't know it, study it. And, it makes you a better person.
And there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know, because, what's great about it is if your first couple of blabs you get on there, find out what your community's asking about. What do they want to know? And then an answer you can give them if you don't know, say, that's a great question. We want to be able to listen to you guys. And what do you want to know about? So when future shows, we can answer those questions. We can actually create shows around those concerns.
Right.
So, I think if you're honest and transparent, I think people realize you don't know everything. And I think you're going to make that connection, and again, being on her early,
right.
With a smaller audience, it almost doesn't matter if you make some mistakes. I think the key is if you're at least moving the ball down the field 1 yard at a time and making progress, that's good. And eventually you'll score that touchdown.
Right. Well said. Now, I also think too many times we don't recognize our audience. I see a lot of realtors, that want to do stuff on, how I generated these leads or how I did this or how I did for other realtors. And my thought is, well, are other realtors really your audience, or is the general public who wants to buy a house or sell a house, is that your audience? And so the content has to match your audience. There's self-help everywhere out there.
Mm-hmm.
But the realtors who start to understand that their audience is buying and selling homes, and that's who they need to target, and then get content toward that audience, I think will move as well. Now, this show is all about for realtors and the use of, tools and technology that realtors can use to help their business. That's our audience for this show. But if I'm a realtor, my audience isn't another realtor. My audience is anybody who can buy a house.
Yep. I think that's very well. I think you guys are spot on. Well said. You guys have a clear focus on what your objective is. That's half the battle. Being clear about what you're trying to accomplish. And you just said it very well. With this show, you're talking to other realtors. You're being the pioneers.
Right.
You're taking that lead. Like you're saying, you're talking to your colleagues, and they're a little unsure. I don't know if I want to get on here, but what's great about what you guys are doing is like, hey, I'll take the lead. Why not? Good. I'll make the mistakes. I'll learn about this stuff. And then before you know it, you become thought leaders, not only in real estate, but in how to present your real estate using video.
Right.
And then your colleagues, you're in, other realtors. So you kind of have a built-in audience. So that's a great way to go,
What are your thoughts here? And Justin, you can maybe answer this too. I have a smart TV. I have the Samsung smart TV deal, but Chrome isn't downloaded on that TV. And so I can't watch blabs. Like I've tried to, on Saturday morning or something when I get up early or whatever, try to turn on and watch a blab or something like that. Cause there's a podcast blab that I like to watch. But I can't. So I then have to go to my phone and then put it on my Note 5 and then I put it on the TV or whatever. Is the movement for what we're doing here, I think, to TV is coming, and I think it's going to come in a big way to where these sort of live streaming deals can be seen as a channel on your smart TV. You have Netflix, you have Hulu, and those sort of things. But I think there's going to be a space for live streaming. And if I had some money or whatever, or had the knowledge, I would create an app for TV specifically for live streaming events. Nothing but live.
I think you're absolutely spot on. I couldn't agree more with you, because I worked in traditional media for almost 19 years. And it was funny because, when I was with ESPN, the leadership there, they get a lot of money from subscriber fees, and their cable TV is a great model for them. But they also know that their subscribers peaked in 2012, and for the last probably 5 years, 6 years, they've been building their digital platforms, and they've been acquiring sports rights. They know what's coming, and I think you're absolutely spot on, perfect. because I think that's the next revolution. TV is not going to be linear. It's not going to be based on channels. It's going to be based on apps. So if you want to watch a show, you're not going to go to NBC to watch it. You're going to go to that show's app to watch it.
Right.
So like the Apple TV just launched. So for the first time, the Apple TV now has an app store, and they have apps you can download. And we're just in the beginning. Roku, which is another streaming platform, has apps. You can actually build an app to have it on. In fact, Stephen, who's in the chat room here, Stephen Haywood, Tech Buzz, he actually has a full-scale. He has multiple shows. He has a full-scale network that he streams out on. He actually has an app on Roku, and he is everywhere. So he's already ahead of the curve there. But yeah, you're seeing it. You're seeing how I'm seeing it, definitely, and I totally agree.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that, because doesn't right now you can't get on Apple. Like I don't know how that works. I don't know what apps they approve, what they don't, if it's in the iTunes store or how that works. But even Roku, do you have to pay a service to? Are we going to see like services that are hosts for apps, kind of thing? I guess is, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Well, if Steven's listening in the comments, I know he's had a Roku app developed, and I think it's just a matter of getting it. If you're a developer, developing it, coding the app, and getting it in the store. Yes, Steven's here. Steven, we're talking about apps on streaming platforms. I know you have a Roku app. They want to know, what does that take? Do you get a developer to put that in? Is there any barrier to entry as far as other than just the development and submitting it to Roku or to Apple? I know Apple's the same way. I paid a developer to do it. So it sounds like that's really all you need. And then you submit it, and then they approve it, and then you're in the store, and then people can download it. They have to meet certain, there you go. So they have to meet certain criteria that Roku needed. And I think it's similar with Apple. They just launched their app store for Apple TV. So it's very similar, I think, to the iOS store, where you have a developer, you get a SDK, you have a developer do it, and you submit it, you get a developer's account, and then they approve it or not approve it, and then it's on the App Store, and then it's available for download for anybody that wants to use it.
So that's a new frontier, right? I mean, you can have a real estate channel, if you will, or app that could be downloaded. I'd be interested to see, Steve, is there any type of analytics, how many views you get from your app on Roku? I don't know. I've seen your show here on Blab. I think you do a fantastic job. I like your show. But what about Roku? Do you have any 50,000 households with it installed in 8 months? So you've had 50,000 people install your app on their smart TV. Wow. That's crazy. In 8 months. That's powerful. That's huge. Especially in real estate, right? And real estate, I feel as though real estate is getting smaller in the sense that, or I should maybe bigger, I don't know, depending on how you look at it. In other words, at least here in Phoenix, Arizona, we get a lot of people purchasing out of state, right? Because of our weather and all that kind of stuff, and some of the national exposure we get with Super Bowl and the golf tournaments and all that kind of stuff, to where our audience here isn't necessarily to sell a house, isn't here in Arizona. I mean, we get a lot of Canadians that purchase homes in here, and having something on a smart TV and being able to advertise and promote it, it's kind of like, Craigslist on steroids, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. But you reach a broader audience by being on those in a very quick way.
Yeah, I wanted to introduce you guys to another guy in the chat. Real TLN stands for, I think, the Lounge Network, Carlos. He's another professional. Been doing video for a long time. And he mentioned that he just had a meeting about having his stuff on Apple TV and Roku. He produces content. He gets it out there. And I think both Carlos and Steven, Tech Buzz, are certainly going in the right direction. I think that's the future, and that's where we're headed here. Is
right.
Getting more of an app economy than a network. As Steven's head of the game. Yeah, Steven is. You're right about that. But yeah, I think that's where things are going.
I couldn't agree more. Now, can you take the this video and put it on there? Is that possible, or is that format more suited for like self video kind of thing, where it's like a Google Hangouts where you're just doing yourself, or I mean, is it any video? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, Blab will be on Apple TV. Yeah, I agree. I think Blab is headed there. So, it'll be probably within this ecosystem, and like Carlos was mentioning, Blab will eventually, create apps that can be downloaded on these different streaming platforms, the streaming boxes. And you yourself, other than embedding it on a landing page or your site, or downloading the video once you're done, and maybe repurposing the YouTube, I don't think you're going to be able to take this and do something separate with it. I think that's a whole other thing that you would want to do on your own, where you create your own app, and then you have the streaming infrastructure in place so you can stream. It's a little more complicated, but I think Carlos is absolutely right. At least it'll be viewable in other places once they get the apps in place.
So it's going to be Blab content. You're not going to own the content then, kind of deal.
Well, I mean, you can download it. I mean, you certainly can. It's kind of co-owned. I mean, they can do whatever they want with it. They can stream it out to different platforms, and that's the distinction. Right. You can still download your audio and or video and use it wherever you want, since it's your content. But content is yours, but the content is on their service apps. Carlos said it perfectly there. That's exactly right. It's your content, but it resides on their servers. You can still get the downloadable video, but again, it's limited as far as the quality goes. Right. I'm not sure. Have you downloaded video from your other shows? Have you seen it?
Yeah, it does. It seems to deteriorate a little bit when I put it back into YouTube. I don't know.
It's not HD. That's the thing. It's SD, and as long as it's not full. It's compressed and all that stuff. So
Well, here it looks good, right? All of our video it looks good, but then when I get this on YouTube, it seems to deteriorate a little bit. But the live stream looks good.
Carlos is right. 480 by 40 in the box. So that's sub HD. That's standard definition. So you're only going to be, and when you get the video and you launch it on your desktop, it's not. If you were to launch a 1080p video, it would fill up a large screen because of the dimensions. It's much bigger. But what they give you, it's fairly small file. So you're only going to get so much resolution out of it.
Gotcha.
I agree. Fire Talk seems to be smart. I gotta go, but it's been great. Thank you for inviting me on.
Jumping in, man. Appreciate it. All right.
Bye-bye. See you. Thanks, Marty.
All right, cool, man. I know that went
worth it. Every second was worth it.
I mean, there was good stuff in there from Marty. So really appreciate him being here. Does a really nice job. Steven as well. His input there in the chat does a really nice job. I watch his tech talk. He does really good stuff there.
And follow him. And
I just followed Real TLN. I forget your name. I apologize there, but I did follow you. So I'll be watching for your blabs. So thanks for Carlos. All right, cool. Sorry about that, Carlos. So I really appreciate you being here and giving your input. Pretty cool stuff.
No, absolutely.
Do we want to end this out here? Do we want to end it with some music and do our last things here, or what do we want to do here?
I say let's pull the plug before we go another 2 hours.
I know, right? We gotta. All right, so. All right, cool. So I'm Jason Bates. Thanks for joining this blab here. Really appreciate you taking time to watch this blab. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter at Jason JAYSON Bates BATES, just like the motel. Visit my website www.valleyofthesunrealestateshow.com.
And my name is Justin Lethby. I'm the E-Professor. You can go to my website, eprofessorofrealestate.com, as well as follow me on Twitter at JB Lethby. I just put that in there. Actually, I put it in wrong. Let's put it in right. And follow me that way. And I have a YouTube channel where all this stuff's going there, and a lot of instructional videos going there as well. Everybody, I appreciate it. Have a great day. And thanks a ton, Jason. Appreciate the session.
Hey, let's remind everybody, we're not going to do this next week because it is Christmas, right?
And not even doing the next week after that because everybody will be waking up from Christmas or from New Year's Eve.
Right, New Year's, we'll all be hungover. You won't want to see me on film then. But the following week, so what is that, January 9th, 8th? Okay, January 8th, we'll do this again. We try to do it every week and talk some tech for realtors. So thanks again for joining, everyone.
Yep, and this one will be video part 3, the final session. I'll be talking about what to do with our content.
All right, cool. Until next time, take care.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.